Welcome back to another episode of That's Business. Today's guest, Dr. Jerri Johnson, or Dr. J as we like to call her, is the creator of safe spaces for humans to thrive, not just survive. She has served 20 plus years in the field of education in numerous capacities. Dr. J, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I'm really excited because we have a lot of education you do and a lot of great conversations. So before we dive in, did you know you always wanted to help people, or were you that type of person growing up? Or walk us through your childhood if you feel comfortable with that.
Oh my gosh, you're taking me back to
Throwing it back.
All right. You're just gonna dive in just right there.
We just getting into it.
Yes, I do think that I was always always wanted to help other people. I have a twin sister who I was considered the evil twin. But only because I was the twin that was not as outgoing as my sister. I was very introverted when I was younger. Imagine that.
I know. My face right now, I'm like, really? I can't see you being introverted.
But research says that twins at some point in their 20s will flip personalities.
Really?
And my sister and I actually did that. Yes. In our 20s, when we graduated in college, my sister became a little bit more introverted, and possibly due to our careers. She's in law enforcement. And then I went into education where I had to talk to people. I had to, interact with kids and all this type of stuff. So I became more extroverted. But when I was younger, I was very introverted, very quiet. People thought I was just mean since I didn't talk to a lot of people and all that type of stuff. I just wasn't dealing with the mess, and I'm still that way today. It's just, I tell people when I go quiet, then you should worry.
Yes.
Because, and literally like when I go mute, that's when you should worry. Because while I'm talking, that means I still care, right? So once I mute, you should know.
Watch out.
That's a problem. Like, you want me to talk. You really do. So when I was younger, yes, I was still a very caring person, very easily hurt, things like that. When I got into high school, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I was going to be a physical education teacher. That's a whole different story. That didn't happen. Became a general ed teacher. My mom didn't want me to be a teacher. She wanted a doctor and a lawyer. She ended up still getting a doctor.
Yes, exactly. You still ended up one.
And an attorney. My sister just got her JD before I got my PhD. So I knew that I was going to be in some type of service field. My sister and I started out working at McDonald's, customer service. And we moved to like Champs and Foot Locker in college. And then I moved into teaching. So it was like a good transition, and working at Starbucks. Like, I love customer service. People get on my nerves, yeah, but
Absolutely.
They can get on my nerves in other capacities like they do now.
Right. It's different. I say it all the time. I'm like, I love working with people and I freaking hate working with people. It depends on the day. Is Mercury in retrograde? What's going on in the world? Love and hate it. Depends on the day. And I think a lot of people, like, we need to have that conversation too of like, oh, I could never work with people. I'm like, it's not always easy. And especially being any type of coach, like we were talking about before we started recording, you just do what you got to do. The highs are highs, the lows are lows, but
yeah,
it still works out at the end of the day.
The impact too that you see that you make. I think that's what I loved about working with kids and adults, because adults have aha moments.
Yes.
Just like kids do, so I think that's what fuels us as service people, is seeing the aha moment or seeing the growth in other people. And we're like, yeah, that keeps me going till I see the next one.
Exactly. And that's what makes it all worth it in the end, of just, like you said, seeing that aha moment, seeing that change, seeing that development and everything like that. So go read this badass's bio, because all the associations she's a part of, the nonprofit she started. I don't even know where to start with you, Dr. J, because you do so much greatness. But lately, where you've been sharing a ton of great educational resources is on co-parenting. And I think that's such a topic I want to give you space to talk about your own story if you feel comfortable. But with so much going on in the world right now, I feel like you are needed more than anyone of just trying to make this work, despite circumstances and everything like that. So how did you start this education piece on co-parenting? And go watch her videos on LinkedIn because they are so cute and fun and educational at the same time. So talk to us on that. I love your ones where you're cooking and providing, like, my ADHD loves it because I'm like, oh, I can watch you cook and I'm getting information. I don't even have kids, but I love this. This is great. So talk to us on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm not a video person.
Really?
Yeah, it all kicked off because I was challenged for 30 days to post a video a day because I said I wanted to start a podcast and someone decided to challenge me, and I agreed to the challenge before I actually knew what the challenge was. I said, oh yeah, I got it. What is it?
I would have never known that ever. You're doing videos better than some people that do this for a living do them. Like, you're in frame, you're talking, you have captions on it. Like, you're doing what everyone should be doing. So I did not know that. Let's start there. How was that after you agreed to it and you're like, oh shoot, I have to do this now? Because that's scary. If you're not a video person, it's freaking scary.
It was scary. And what I started out talking about was 3 different topics that I love, like health and fitness, co-parenting, and education. And what came out of that was people wanted to hear, when I finished the 30 days, I sent out a survey, a little poll on LinkedIn, said, what do you want to hear most about? And co-parenting came out of it, right? But co-parenting was, when I went back and looked at my different topics that I talked about, was the one that I hit on the most, the topic that I hit on the most anyway. So my co-parenting journey started when my daughter was 8 months old. In my first marriage, we separated when she was 8 months old. So my daughter only knows her father and I not being together. She's seen pictures of us being married and stuff like that, but she only knows us not being together. And she's now 22. My ex-husband and I went through some rocky times, especially at the beginning there, kind of mellowed out, for a little while. And when she hit high school and college, we have talked more in the past 4 to 5 years than we ever talked in her growing up until she was 18.
Wow.
The adult child is a totally different type of relationship. So I've gone through all of those stages and I've seen the pitfalls that I made, the things that my ex-husband, and I had issues with and we kind of worked through. Many times it was me humbling myself to say, this is about our child. It's not about him. It's not about anything else. It's about our child. What is best for our child in this situation? And many times it was me coming to him saying, it's about her. It's not about you,
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult as an adult who runs shit.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just say it like that. I was running schools. I was running classrooms. I was a district administrator. It's very difficult for a woman who runs stuff every day to acquiesce to it not being about them a lot and it being about other people. But I was a person who grew up that way, kind of giving more to others than I gave to myself anyway. So having a staff that I poured into, having, relationships that I poured into or what have you was something that was not new to me. It was pretty true to me, but it also took away from me at times. So my advice that I give is because I've learned some things through that process. And I finally feel like I've come into me, to who I really am, the life that I really want to live, all of that. And a lot of people see the change. And that's what I want to give to other people. I want them to know that there is something on the other side of the struggle that you're having right now. The thing is to push through that struggle, find strategies to make it through that struggle. And when you have other people that have either been through it, going through it, understand it, even if it's from the outside, and are willing to support you, it makes a difference. And it doesn't have to be all bad because a relationship ends or because you're not living with that person or what have you. Honestly, I mean, people always talk about 2-parent homes versus 1-parent homes. I mean, 2-parent homes could be just as effed up as a 1-parent home. I know people who come from 2-parent homes that are just as jacked up as 1-parent homes. It's not a difference. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are people. We all mess up our kids in some way, shape, or form. We all have some history or whatever people will say, soul ties or generational curses, whatever you want to call them. We mess up our kids in some way, period, because we were messed up in some way.
Right. It's true.
So let's own it. And let's just find ways not to do that or fix the mess that we created. There's nothing wrong with owning it and say, okay, from this day on, I'm going to try to repair the damage that has been done. And when your children become adults, you really begin to see you in them. And you got to be able to be reflective about that and say, oh my God, they got it honest. We need to change it. Like, what conversations can I have with them? What support can I provide for them so that they don't make the mistakes or make the choices that I made? So that's what I really want to do with the co-parenting piece that I'm doing now. And I'm trying my best to get my butt in order to get it together.
You have it together. And I want you to comment on this when people are like, oh, we want to stay together for the kids, which is such the old school way of thinking. Or just, oh, yeah, I knew, when my kid was a few months old or a few years old, I didn't want to be with my partner. And I love that you brought up, you could mess them up when you stay together, don't stay together. So what are your thoughts on why that is not true and some of those impacts staying together and being miserable can have on those kids?
So let's just be real. You want to stay where you are because you want to stay where you are. If you are comfortable and you feel like you're scared that leaving this relationship is going to take something away from you, or, you put so much into this person and now somebody else is going to benefit from it, man, that's bullshit. Okay? Yes, it is.
So true. Yep.
So think about, once again, step outside of yourself and think about your child. What are they observing every day? They are observing mom and dad, or mom and whoever, or dad and whoever, not touching each other playfully, not kissing each other playfully or romantic, not showing any type of physical intimacy, emotional intimacy, not talking, not spending time together, not going on date nights, not going on vacation together. It's just like, come on, man.
What are you doing?
And you feel like that's healthy for your child. You're giving them a model of what relationships or marriage is supposed to be. So whatever you're showing them, they're around, they hear through the walls. These walls ain't 50. They hear, they see everything that you're doing or not doing with this person in a relationship every day. Is it a good model? I mean, really think to yourself and ask yourself honestly, is it a good model for my child? Is it healthy for my child to be in this situation? Because you're really giving them a negative view of what relationships and marriages should look like and what they should be like. And that's messing them up for when they have relationships, because they're going to go off and treat somebody jacked up because they see that in their household and they think that's what it's supposed to be.
It's normal.
Yeah. So if that's their normal, is dysfunction. What do you think they're going to take out into the world with them? Whether it be school, whether it be work, whether it be their romantic life with somebody else, what do you think they're taking out with them? So if you're saying, oh, I don't want to leave for the kids, no, you're being selfish because you don't want to leave for you. It's not because of the kids. I've seen too many people say, don't put that onus and that shame and that guilt on your kids like that. Don't do that because they feel it. You're saying it. It comes out in your behaviors. They feel it. You think they don't, but they do. Because your behaviors around them are showing them that, oh, I'm just here for you. Because why? I'm just spending time with you. I'm not spending time with my husband or my significant other all the time. I'm taking you here, there, and everywhere. I'm not taking you, I'm not going on vacation with so I'm communicating with my child more than I'm communicating with my significant other. What do you think that shows them? Like, come on, y'all. Seriously. Let's move into a state of awareness and a state of ownership as adults to protect kids. They don't get to make a choice of who their parents are. You get to make a choice of whether or not you want to have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to make a choice of the type of environment that child grows up in. My ex-husband and I, so much more healthier apart. And he's remarried now, and I've been remarried again. But so much healthier apart than we were together. And that gave my daughter a model of mom can be happy in her singleness. Dad can be happy in a marriage. Now, which one is she going to want to choose? I don't know. Neither is better than the other. But you know what? We both are happy.
Right.
We both are happy, joyful, productive people in the situations that we are in. Which one is a better model? I mean, which one would you think? So let's just be honest with ourselves and with the people that we're with and show our children some healthy ways to kind of conduct ourselves or to operate within the framework that they are choosing. My daughter sees single as a good thing. She sees marriage as a good thing. So now she has a choice.
Right.
That she needs to make for herself. I think children need to be provided that choice of two healthy options. Even if one is you consider dysfunctional or what have you, that's fine. But they still have a choice of which one. When you stay in situations like that and you say it's because of the kids, you're giving them one option. And that's to see something that is not healthy, that's not happy, that's just not good.
No. And I never thought about it that way, but seeing the two perspectives of if you decide to be single, if you decide to get married, if you decide something in between, but that's such a great point to bring up because I feel like that's why so many people, at least for me, I had so many friends get married early 20s. And then it was always, oh, well, you're not with someone yet. Like, are you sure? When I was in my early 20s and now as we're in our 30s, I'm like, oh, who's not divorced? Me.
Everybody getting divorced. Exactly.
Right. And and there's no shame to divorce. Like, you change so much in your 20s. I mean, even like 25 to 30 was just,
yes.
25 to 28 for me was just like, light and day. But I just think it's society. It's like, you're not in a relationship. When are you getting in a relationship? You're in a relationship when you're getting married. When you're married, when you're having kids. When you have one kid, when you're having the next kid. Like, it's just never ending. And it's just, why don't we let people just do their own thing and whatever works best for them? It's crazy. So, like you said, the last 4 or 5 years, you have a much better relationship with your ex-husband. And now that your daughter is at that adult age, what was kind of that deciding factor of like, okay, things need to change? Or from her perspective, if you feel comfortable, what has that been like for her being, I'm sure, the badass that she is?
Well, my daughter recognized around the age, I think it was around 12 or 13. She had a conversation. I will never forget it. We were driving in the car and I had just picked her up from her dad's house. Well, I actually picked her up from school on a week that she was coming from her dad's. And so she was like, Mom, I don't mean it as a bad thing, but I see why you and Dad aren't together.
Thanks, I guess. Like, what?
I started laughing, and she was like, she was like, it's no shame, like no shame against you or Dad, but I just think you all are like, your personalities are on two different ends the spectrum, because literally she was living between two households. She was with her dad 2 weeks out of the month. She was with me 2 weeks out of the month. So she had separate things at both houses. And honestly, both houses ran different. So he and I had to come to an understanding when she was younger as well, especially when she started school, that you take care of whatever your rules or whatever are at your house. I take care of whatever rules are at my house. Mind you, we had some things in common, the foundational things in common about spending the night over people's house and stuff like that. Or he would call me about it. But it literally was like two different environments for her. And she talks about it to this day because that gave her just different perspectives on different things because our households were different. And her stepmother, Stacy, is awesome. I couldn't have asked for a better stepmother for her. And she has a stepsister, which she calls her sister, that's 4 years older than her. And they are fantastic. So I couldn't have asked for a better situation with her being at two different households. But now she sees us partnering more to get things done for her because she's in Houston, dad's in St. Louis, I'm in Dallas. So, 4 years of college there. Now she's staying there in Houston for her gap year until she, does graduate school, what have you. And it's just like, now she feels a lot more comfortable with coming to either one of us for something. She knows what she can go to for him. She'll talk to me about certain things. He defers all the education stuff to me. I'm sure he would agree with that.
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with education. Like, I got,
Mm-hmm. You'd be dumb if you didn't.
all that. Yeah. So it has been more of a partnership since junior, senior, high school into college, because we knew that we had a vision for what she was coming out of college. If she decided she wanted to do that, because college is not for everybody. She was coming out of college debt free, which meant that she had to work her butt off, what she did in high school to get scholarships and all of that to go to college. So whatever was extra, we said we got for 4 years. We were just going to work it out however much, because, his income is different than mine. Household is different than mine. So he was perfectly fine with that. And then when she got out of her 4 years, whatever she decided to do, we would help as best we could. Why? Because we're both older now. We want to retire at some point in time. Like, we can't keep financing a whole nother household. She's got to get out and get a job and all of that, which she's done because she knew the expectations, right? We put those out in high school and we didn't pressure her to go to college because we both had student loan debt. You know what I'm saying? But we knew that we did not want her life to start out that way. So we were like, this is what we've committed to for 4 years. Okay, what you got? It's a conversation that you have to continuously have with your children. And both parents have to have that vision for what they can do and what they can't do. And she was very okay with that. It was stressful for her to try to keep up her grades for scholarship and all this type of stuff. I mean, we had a lot of tears, a lot of
course,
all this during 4 years, but she graduated. She's working a full-time job now until she figures out graduate school, and she's doing what we thought she could do, but with our support. So I feel like she would say that she felt very supported the last 4 to 6 years in what it is she needed to do until she got to this point. And now she's getting ready to kind of take over her own things. But she knows that if she needs something, she can fall back on either one of us. She can come to and ask openly for what it is she needs. If we have it, we're going to give it. If we don't have it, you know what? I'm calling your dad, or he'll call me and be like, can we work out getting this for Ash because she needs it? Now, we're not doing all the wants. We're not doing all the wants. We're doing all the basic needs. Basic needs. That's it.
That's it.
And you have to make a way for the other things. And I try to walk her through that because I've had a lot of transitions in my life, financially, work-wise, all of that. So I can give her feedback on those things. Her father hasn't necessarily had all of those. But as a woman, it's a little bit different when you have to go through the financial things and all of that by yourself. And she is currently by herself. Now, when she gets married, maybe she'll defer to her dad. Or if she gets married, maybe she'll defer to her dad a little bit more. But right now, she talks to me a little bit more.
And I feel any friends that I have that I feel like, unfortunately, they'll probably die with their debt because they are just so far into student loan debt, have come from divorced households and the parents refuse to talk to each other. Like refuse to have the conversation that I feel they could have probably supported in some way, shape, or form, seeing on how they live now. But I love that you came together from your own experiences, setting that aside and being like, look, Ashley is not doing what we did and going into debt. And also the fact that you have your doctorate and you said, if college is for you, great. Because I've seen a lot of too of like, well, I have my degree, I have my JD, my doctorate, my PsyD, whatever that may be. It's like you're going to school and no questions asked. You are just creating such a space for whoever the individual is and just talking through because, oh my God, it's so true. I mean, I was lucky, privileged that my parents paid for my education, but not to talk ill, but they shouldn't be together for sure. Like still are to this day. Like they live like roommates. And my brother and I say it all the time. We're like, come on, like, please just, we're grown, like just do something for yourself. But I will not talk ill as I know some family members listen to this podcast, but they know what's on the inside. But it's so interesting because you're giving these experience to her. And I remember going to college and I come from an old school. My mom stayed home, which was great. She didn't miss anything. Like she had her own business. Dad had his own business that she ran too. So she was really running multiple businesses. But I was blessed and privileged to have that. But now looking back, I'm like, oh, you gave up so much of your life and what you did. And I did go through a transition of like, I feel bad. Like you did that for us. And I'm like, this isn't my fault. Like you made that decision. It's not on me.
Exactly.
So it's an interesting transition. And I feel you're just breaking so many generational norms or calling out. Your kids will feel bad. Or I remember going home with some of my friends. I went out of state to Penn State and I was like, oh, this is a completely different household. And it was just like the like mind blown piece that I'm like, holy shit, this is way different. Like my dad would not help clean up because he was the provider and why should he have to help with anything, you know? And when I saw both parents came home from work and dad helped mom, like was, you know, fun, flirty, all of that, like you said. And I was like, what is the sorcery I'm looking at here? And I vividly remember my ass was like 20, 21 years old because I was still in college. And I was like, what? It just changes your perspective or ending up in relationships that I had no business being in, being like, this is going down a path. I don't want to be down this path, but then still get to go to therapy now to unwind all those relationships. So fun. So I can't give you enough love and appreciation for this. And it's so great and encouraging your daughter to just like be who she is and empowering her to do that. And I love that you had two different households because I feel like it's either we need to do everything the same or I don't want to talk to your dad or your mom or your whoever, like, and talk ill of them. It's like you're not in high school anymore. You kind of have to like be grown and get over it. Like you had a kid together. You have to do it.
I mean, you like this person long enough to lay down with them and have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You telling me you can't like this person long enough to work it out for the kid? Come on, y'all.
People forget that.
Like, come on. I mean, I understand people forget childbirth too. Like, I forget the pain that I went through. You know, I get that because we want to suppress those memories. We want to suppress that. And that's fine, but your child is live and in living color every day. Live and in living color, okay? And a whole human that you have now said you're going to take care of, cultivate, grow, keep safe, all of that. I don't understand how we forget that. I mean, we treat our pets sometimes better than we treat humans.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm not saying that pets deserve less at all, because, I've been a dog mom and I want another one. But I hate to see sometimes that we don't treat children as if they are whole, functioning human beings. They recognize what's going on around them. That's how they learn. That's how they learn to speak. That's how they learn to walk and watch somebody walk. Like, they listen and they see everything.
And they're smarter than we think, and they absorb a lot more than we think.
That most times they're smarter than us. I'm telling you, these kids that I meet, I'm telling you, like, they've been here before. These damn kids been here before. Like, if you look at all the accomplishments that some of these young people have, we see them on LinkedIn every day. Angela, how can you not say that our kids are not excellent and they are not intelligent? And you sit up here and you put down, you actually diminish their intelligence when you think that they are not paying attention to what you're saying and what you're doing, and that they're not making conclusions in their mind that this is what this is supposed to be.
And I love, it's whatever, it was millennials, now it's Gen Z of, they're so soft, they can't do this, they can't do that. And that's what's crazy to me is like, how about you look at yourself as a parent and see how that's impacting? Because that's my favorite argument to get in with people. I'm like, you can't just say one whole generation is one way or one whole generation is that way. Why don't you look at yourself and how you're treating people and how you're raising your humans to be? So...
Oh my God, I had that conversation with somebody last night. It's just, the enablement. If it comes out of your mouth, let me say this one thing to parents. If it comes out of your mouth that your child is soft or doesn't do this or can't do that or what have you, please, like Angela said, look at how you've contributed to that. Because a lot of times we enable rather than support.
Right.
Support and enable two different things. Enabling means that you are accepting anything, any behavior, any verbiage or whatever, the way they talk to you, the way they behave, all of that. You accept that over the course of time. And then that sets in and determines their behavior, their character. Supporting means that you're going to be there saying, baby, good job. Great job. You did fantastic during the soccer game. Blah, 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 blah. But if they do bad, you're going to give them feedback on, well, maybe you could do this better. Let me help you with this or what have you. You're not doing it for them. You are helping them with it or doing that beside them. To me, support and enablement are two different things. Support is intermittent, okay? Enablement is over the course of time, in my mind. A lot of people enable kids in their behaviors and in the things that they do, and they wonder why they can't do, because you're doing it for them, and you're allowing it. And then they go to school, and I get to deal with them.
Full circle
and then
here.
You come to school talking about something. I don't know where they got that from. Yes, you do, Mom. Yes, you do, Dad. You can't tell me that they don't do this at home because I'm not with them every day, but they're bringing that behavior here. Whether they see it here once or twice or not, this is something that's ingrained in who they are because they're continuously doing it. So please don't put down educators either when they give you feedback about that, because they've seen these behaviors, they've seen these things go on, and it's not anything against you. They're trying to help you with changing and intervening in this behavior, at least when they're at school around other people's kids. Now, when they're at home, you can allow them to do whatever. But when you're at school or work and you're around other people's kids, other adults, the different code of conduct, what we call code switching, different code, different environments. And we have to learn that. But sorry, Angela, I went to the educator side.
Hey, you're great, because it's a great point to bring up. And I love that you brought up work setting too, because you can see how people perform in a work setting. I mean, my friend who's also an educator, and she loves working at different alternative schools she's done. Like, just she will be the one that these kids will remember for their whole lives. Like, she is that person. I mean, she's gotten job offers, making a lot more money. She's like, no, I love these kids. I love the ones that everyone wants to say, oh, they're not good enough, or they do have really awful home situations that it's just crazy. But I had posted something a few years ago and I was like, how are people so dumb? Like, how the things like reading a document as a business owner, you sign a proposal with me. What do I do next? I'm like, did you frickin' like, we can't simplify it anymore without me sitting there holding your hand. And my friend Alex comments on it. She goes, those same dumbasses we went to high school with that were dumb then turn into working dumb adults. That's why. Because it starts in childhood and it's never corrected. And then we have to deal with them. When our parents were harder on us than they were on them. But I was like, oh, you're not wrong. And ever since she said that, I always think about those situations are, obviously different factors, different life stories, but yeah, it's so true. And I give it, you educators should run the world because you are the most patient. You are the most caring. I mean, at the end of the day, you're here for your students. You're here to help people, whether they're children, adults. And I think you are a great example of that from working with both groups of people. And now you're working with both of co-parenting. So yes. You're incredible, of course. So Dr. J, as we wrap this up, what advice do you have for listeners?
Let's see. I usually have so much advice.
I mean, you've already given a ton. Let's be real here. You've given a ton of great advice already, but we're going to do like one final, drop the mic on the advice.
Let's see. What I would say for people is, I'm working through a difficult situation now with my kind of like work life with my profession, because I'm still in this place of kind of like flux of where God truly wants me to be, if anybody can like understand that. And I know that this space of speaking to people and things like that is what I enjoy, what I'm truly like could do in my sleep and am comfortable with. But for people who are struggling with stepping out and doing something different, I would say do it and think about it later. Like,
do it now, ask for forgiveness later. Yes.
I tell people that all the time. I used to even say that to the staffs that I was blessed to lead, was that sometimes you have to take that step and ask for forgiveness later, because you never know what is going to come along, like the ripple effect that comes along with just making that step. And many times the one step will lead to a whole different world of possibilities. Every Sunday, I typically say, like, I'm a Poshmark person, so I watch some of the lives.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yep. Totally with you. Yes.
So every Sunday when Jen is a person that I watch every Sunday because she does this. I'd like to thrift and stuff like that. She does secondhand Sundays, what she calls secondhand Sundays. And every Sunday I get on and say, hey, everybody, welcome to the, happy Sunday. Welcome to a new week of possibilities. And I would like people to just think about that. When you think about taking a step in a different direction or taking a step out, that's what I love about LinkedIn is so many people have had the courage to move when they really wanted to just stay. I would encourage you to move. Just even if it's a small step, move in the direction that you feel you need to move, that you know in your gut, this is what I want to do and this is who I want to be. I'm, as you can see, stepping into my hippie phase, save the earth,
Love.
Is it hippie?
I was going to compliment you on your earrings when you got on, and then we were talking about something else. I'm like, Angela, channel your ADHD and focus. But I've been staring at your earrings this whole time, and I'm obsessed with the whole vibe you have today. So I like it. We have different phases of life. It's great.
Yeah. So I would just encourage people to move. Just like you have to move your body every day to be healthy and all of that, take that step and move, because I promise you, you will not regret it. Something will come from it that will help you to want to take more steps. So move.
Dr. J, you came to play today. And I mean, you do every time. You're just a breath of fresh air, even when we first met, last year, and you were just such good people. You have the best energy, and I'm so thankful our paths crossed. If you're listening to this, you want to follow Dr. J, reach out to her, head to the show notes, and tune in again next week for another episode of That's Business.